Thank you and welcome once again to our channel. And today we are going to look at the cross section of the brain. So this part of the brain which we are going to look is the coronal cross section. So as we know that brain is part of the central nervous system, then let's look at some cross section of the brain. We will explain part of the sections in our next video. The brain is housed in the protective covering of the skull, and the brain is the most complex organ in the human body. It controls thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and memories, as well as the basic life functions such as breathing and heart rate. With your brain, you know that the brain is responsible for your thoughts, your behaviors, your emotions, your memories, and also basic life functions like breathing and also heart rate. So, the brain interface, which we are looking at, the brain interface from our previous video, you learned the part of the brain. So, the brain interface called the cerebral cortex is folded into series of gyri, which is like hill. When we talk of the gyri here, we talk of hills and also sulci, like valley. So it is like hills and valley. And these features increase the amount of neurons, that is the brain cells, that can fit within a skull. So the outer portion of the cortex is made of gray matters. So the outer portion of the cortex is made of gray matters which contains the cell bodies of neurons, and the inner portion is made of white matters. So you have your gray and your white matter. So you know that the outer part is like your gray and your inner part is your, so you have your white matter and you have your gray matter. So this part of the brain, which is the white matter, is the inner part of the brain. And when you see here, you see you have the outer part of the brain, which is your gray matter. Quickly, so let's see, this matter contains the insulated neurons projections called the axons. So this have the insulated neurons, which normally we call the axons. So spaces within the origin of the brain or spaces within the brain called the ventricles. So you can see that we have spaces between the brain which are called ventricles. So which are called ventricles contain cerebrospinal fluid. So cerebrospinal fluid serves as a cushion and a shock absorber and aids in chemical communication between the neurons. So quickly, let's look at some of these things. We are going to talk about it one after the other so that this is going to help and support you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to watch our next video. Let's look at the labels starting from the gyros. So this is the gyros, and when you look at the gyros, we see how the gyros is. Yeah, so we know that the gyros from our previous video, we know that the brain surface, which is called the cerebral cortex, is folded into a series of gyri. So one is called the gyros and the double is called the gyri. This is like a hill. And we have the sulci. So this is the gyri. And also we have the sulci. So let's look at the sulci. So the sulci is the space between the gyri. You see like a mountain and a valley. Yeah, like a hill and a valley. Put in mind the gyri or the gyros is like the hill, and the sulci or the sulcus is the valley or the space between the mountain. Let's look at the gray matter. So when we talk of the gray matter, we know that this is our gray matter, and the gray matter, as we discussed in our previous video is the outer portion of the cortex. Is the outer portion of the cortex. So you could see we have it here like the mountain. But the outer part of it is called the gray matter. Then the inner part of it. So when you talk of the inner, this is the inner part of it. The inner part is called your white matter. So from this, let's look at the ventricles. So we can see the ventricles. So these are the ventricles. And in our previous video, we saw that it is just a spaces between the brain, a spaces between the brain which contains cerebrospinal fluid. And this cerebrospinal fluid serves as the cushion and shock absorber and aids in chemical communication between the neuron. Thank you for joining us in this video, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share this to others for others to benefit from our training. See you in our next video.